Hey, everybody, I'm your host, Felipe, and I'm here with two co-hosts this week. Who? It's Brett Moore. Brett, say hi to everybody.
Hey, everyone. How's everyone?
And making his return to the Pod Jobbers podcast is Jacob Schwartz. Jacob, say hi to everybody. Welcome back.
Finally, the snake has come back to wrestling.
So for those who don't know, originally when we started these podcasts, it was going to be Jacob and Brett doing these podcasts. But now Jacob is back to doing the wrestling podcast, which we're happy to have him. I might as well get this one out of the way as well. This will be my last episode for a while. I'm going to be on indefinite hiatus. So I will be doing other stuff. You'll still see me on the other two podcasts that I do for the time being, mostly on the fantasy baseball one. But you guys are in good hands with Jake and Brett, as Jake is a pro at this, and Brett has shown like leaps and bounds improvements since we started. And I think he's finding his comfort zone. There you go. And so, yeah, I look forward to see what happens with these two as, I don't know. It's kind of bittersweet for me because I'm glad that we're able to do this, but it sucks that this is going to be the last one for me for a while. But anyway, that's...
We need to start a no chant. No.
No, I gotta go. All right, so we have a couple of things going for tonight as we will talk about good old-fashioned wrestling. And we begin one last time. Well, I don't know if you guys want to pick up on this when I leave, but we start this episode with the Swerve, bro. The Swerve. And for those who are not familiar with the Swerve, I ask Brett a random question. Brett asks me a random question, and we'll include Jake as well, as we like to throw curveballs and sliders at my people here. The first question I have for both of you is, and I'll start with Brett first. Who is your favorite non-WWE wrestler? Go ahead.
Does Jericho count?
I'll allow it.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Okay. For real, though, probably MJF. I love MJF. I mean, that guy, I'm a promo guy, as everybody knows.
Yeah.
You know, so anybody that can go in there and cut an awesome promo, he's an awesome follow on social media, you know, so he's just non-WWE. As far as non-WWE goes, it's definitely MJF. I love MJF.
Good one. That's a really good one. I mean, he, like you said, he has the personality, the attitude, and I don't know about his in-ring stuff, but that's not what you're watching him for. I mean, he's the best talker outside of Jericho in that promotion, and probably one of the better promos anywhere in wrestling. So that's actually a good one right there, Brett. Good job. Jake, what about you? Your favorite non-WWE wrestler?
Eli Drake. Dummy. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Eli Drake, baby. I go the same way as Brett. I'm a huge promo nut, and I love guys that can cut legitimate promos and just keep you entertained. He's like a mix of The Rock and the Pope into one human being. His career has kind of taken a little bit of a dip since Impact Wrestling and some out-of-wrestling stuff. But he's great on the mic. He's got excellent charisma. He's actually a pretty good wrestler in the ring, too. He's got a good finisher.
Yeah.
So I think he could have gotten up there to equal status as some of the best promo talkers in the planet. But he's taken a little bit of a backslide, and he's right up there with MJF, in my opinion, from the ability to show charisma on the mic.
Man, Eli Drake is awesome. I don't know where is he? I haven't heard anything out of him. I don't know where he's at. Do you know any idea where he is, Jake, at this point?
Yeah, he's on what's the new promotion? It's got they like do a bunch of promos over a podium.
NWA?
Yeah, NWA. Yeah, I think that's where he's headed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
they got who's the champion that's like he's like significantly improved since his Impact days.
Nick Aldis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I think it was called Magnus or Magus or something
Magnus.
like that.
Yeah,
okay.
That's right.
Yeah, but I'm a big Eli Drake fan. Well, let's put it to the test. Who would win? Who's the better wrestler, or how should we do this? Who's the better all-around professional wrestler, Eli Drake or MJF?
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll start with you, Jake. We'll start with you, Jake.
From a technical ability, I would probably say MJF. From a wrestling perspective, I go MJF. I think Eli Drake takes the promo because MJF is really good at heel work. I have yet to see his ability to be a babyface, where Eli Drake has carried both babyface and heel work. And it's what you'll notice with a lot of like exceptional heels is when they go babyface, they struggle to live up to the hype. So like Miz is a great example. He's without a doubt an incredible Skywalker smack talker as a heel, but when he gets to baby face, it kind of loses the crowd.
Yeah, and I his ability to be a baby.
So
sorry about that. I was trying to get into the live version on the phone, and I forget that it blurts out when you least expect it. So I'll put that away. Brett, any thought? You want to add your 2 cents on that one?
I would probably also go with MJF. You know, as a wrestler, he's very, very solid. He hasn't had as many like exposed matches, I think, that a lot of people have seen. The first time I ever saw him was at the All-In Battle Royale that they had, and he was pretty awesome with that. You know, the match he had, the Diamond Ring match, that was a very solid match. I think he can work very well, and like Jake said, I mean, he's the best heel in the business right now. I mean, what Tommaso Ciampa could have done had he kept being a heel, excuse me, that's where MJF is at now. And bottom line, he's better than you, and we all know it. So I would also go with MJF.
it's really good with a belt and other people's belts in the ring.
Yeah.
just ask Cody.
That promo that he did with Diamond Dallas Page after he won the thing where he did the bang thing with Dallas's daughter. Oh man, that was fantastic heel stuff. And like if you go on YouTube and you look up MJF like interviews and stuff, there's this one where he's talking to this Canadian woman in front of a fence, and it is just hilarious. He doesn't break character the whole time, and he just shits on all these people, and it's so good.
Is that the same promo or interview where he like talked about being a badass gamer and he was just hating on all these other gamers and calling them stupid nerds who haven't lost their virginity?
Yeah, I think that's the same one.
Okay.
That's the one he starts off and he like the lady starts talking, he just cuts in and goes, "Shut up," and then goes right into his thing. It's so funny. Watch that if you get the chance.
I know that he pissed off a lot of the Dungeons and Dragon gamers as well, and well, that's where that feud with Brandon Cutler started, because apparently Brandon Cutler is a big D&D fan. So
that's a shocker.
So he went after him. I also realized that this dude, I forget his name. I always forget his name, but he played a werewolf in the HBO show True Blood. And
oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I always forget it. I know he was also in Magic Mike, but yeah, I didn't realize that dude played Dungeons and Dragons until somebody brought it to my attention. Like, really, that guy? All right, he plays a werewolf, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised. So you never know.
I'll cede her vote.
That sounds about right.
Nice.
That sounds about right. All right, Brett, let's get going. You have a question for us?
Yeah, this one's pretty cut and dry. I just want to know what your favorite rivalry of all time is.
Who do you want to start, me or him?
Let's start with Jake.
Go ahead.
Oh man, I mean, it's hard not to go with a very cliche rivalry in Stone Cold and The Rock. I mean, you talk about just years of back and forth, solid wrestling matches, exceptional promos, the two biggest stars in the business for a long time. Top of my mind, it's the first one that throws out there. I'm sure there's a better one that I'm not thinking of, like John Morrison, Prince Puma, and Lucha Underground or something. But I'd say Stone Cold The Rock probably for best all time.
Well,
All
I mean, I'm glad you mentioned Lucha Underground. I really am, but we got to go with a classic, right? And this is my last show for a while as I go on indefinite hiatus. I can't say that enough. I'm leaving on indefinite hiatus, and it doesn't get easier every time I say it. But I feel like if I say it enough times, I'll sucker myself into believing that it's an okay thing, but it's really not. But anyway, might as well bring this motherfucker up. Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, because it didn't just stay in the ring, but it went outside the ring. And
Ooh.
yeah, we were gonna do this one of these days. Bret and I were gonna, not Bret Hart, Bret Moore. I gotta say his whole name because I don't want people confusing him. Bret Moore and I were gonna do a whole episode devoted to this whole rivalry between Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart. And I didn't want to say it, but I might as well say it and go out with a bang, just like MJF on Diamond Dallas Page's daughter. But, I mean that thing had everything. They were going at it since what, the early 90s, and it climaxed into the most infamous double cross of all time when Vince McMahon screwed Bret Hart in the Survivor Series in '97 as Bret Hart was getting ready to leave for WCW. Kind of like I'm ready to leave to go to greener pastures apparently. And so yeah, I mean, and it's still talked about to this day. And like everything about it gets talked about. The stuff that happened in the ring, the stuff that happened outside the ring, and the aftermath that happened when they got separated. Shawn Michaels' career almost was cut short because of a back injury. Bret Hart's career was definitely cut short because of a concussion that Goldberg did to him with a sidekick. So I would say it's still one of the most talked about, most infamous, most everything, best rivalry in my lifetime. And I have to say, yes.
The most underrated aspect of that rivalry was the fact that Earl Hebner came out looking like a bad guy. If you can make him look like a bad guy, you're doing something right. So.
Oh my God.
Well, and let's not forget, that rivalry also included arguably the greatest WrestleMania match of all time, the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12.
Yeah, 96.
So.
Yeah. I've yet to watch that, but I remember people couldn't stop talking about it when I was growing up. Yeah, I'm behind. Well, interestingly enough, I mean, I know if you guys noticed, but I've been trying to watch from like the fall of '95 leading up to the 1996 Hulk Hogan turning on WCW and joining the NWO. So I'm watching like as many Nitros and Raws and all the pay-per-views, and I'm little by little, inch by inch, getting close to that 1996 WrestleMania. So I will eventually get to watch it for the first time ever, and it's going to be glorious. So I am looking forward to that one.
It's good. You'll dig it.
I will. Okay, well, that's a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
Jake, any comments on the 1996 WrestleMania?
It's gold, Jerry, gold.
No, it is Seinfeld. Seinfeld was also at its peak back in the 90s as well. All right, so that is the swerve. Wait, did everybody ask? No, Jake, you didn't ask any questions. You're a part of the show now, so go ahead and tell us or ask us away or your question for the swerve.
I'm gonna alley-oop this one here. Favorite return of all time.
Oh, I'll let Brett start on that one first. That should be a slam dunk for him, I think.
So I'm pretty sure everybody knows they think I'm gonna say, and I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna go with John Cena at the Royal Rumble in Madison Square Garden because, I mean, he was such a big star at that point, and nobody saw it coming, and that pop was so huge, and he won the event. We'll talk about my second favorite return later in the show, though, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Mine, shoot, gun to my head, I'll have to say Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy returning to the WWE, WrestleMania from a year or two ago. Mm-hmm. And that's only because I was watching Impact Wrestling from like 2016 and through 2017. So I was there from the very beginning of the broken Matt Hardy gimmick. And getting to watch that every week, every single week, just become this bigger than life thing. And then he involves his brother, and then eventually that would carry over to the WWE event, and it led to them winning the tag team. Right? They won a tag team titles in a ladder match or something like that.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know that one's a cop out, I feel like, but that's the one that stands out in recent memory. And I've always liked the Hardy Boys back in the day anyway, so it just kind of was perfect for me to see them come back to their glory. And I would go with that. I'm comfortable saying Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy returning. And that was a loud ass pop too in
The pop was insane.
Orlando, right? It was in Orlando.
Yeah. So, and ironically, I went to the WrestleMania event in Orlando, Ric Flair's retirement match, and that WrestleMania was a singles ladder match. And guess who showed up to win the ladder match? Matt Hardy.
Oh, nice.
So it is a thing about returning during Orlando Manias during ladder matches and taking the either briefcase or title.
Orlando, that's going to be the new thing, Orlando Mania. I mean, they already do things from Full Sail, so maybe that could be an NXT takeover. Orlando Mania.
Mania, brother.
Speaking of Maniac and Maniacs, well, that ends our swerve portion of our show. We move on to the next portion. Our next segment is called "How's Your Territory Doing?" And now, Jacob, if you're not familiar, these are the rules. So, Brett and I decide whenever we do the segment. I didn't think we were going to do it every week, but I mean, it's great that we could do it every week. But we bring a wrestling history figure, present, current, future, past, whatever, could be anybody in wrestling. And originally it was going to be, okay, let's take, for example, Vince Russo and see how he would book Ring of Honor or something, right? How would he do that? And then Brett and I got the crazy idea, well, why do we have to limit ourselves to just wrestling? Why can't we go outside of wrestling? Because everything is wrestling anyway. And so if you missed last week was Vince Russo booking the 2017 Houston Astros. Bang! Speaking of bang, hey, that's the theme for the show, right, Brett? Everything bangs.
Yeah,
She bangs.
it's the bang episode.
So this week
You're going out with the bang?
I am. Yeah, watch me. Quang. Oh, that's a different wrestler. So this week, Jake, we'll I guess we'll kick off things with you, if you want to, if you choose to accept this challenge. We are thinking we're going to take the chairman, Vince McMahon, and how would he book the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York?
Oh man. Well, it's got to be good shit. So let me think here. I think he would probably have, outside of the Hall of Fame, a row of midget baseball players that would be welcoming everyone into the Hall of Fame to start, and have a routine of Wizard of Oz and the Munchkins there. And then as you enter, you'd be kind of seen by Babe Ruth, who he's probably going to keep bringing back over and over and over again into the Baseball Hall of Fame as you go throughout, and just crushing any new talent that recently would be voted into the Hall of Fame. And just Babe Ruth would be there. He'd be a pitcher, he'd be a fielder, he'd be a hitter, he'd be in all the awards. He'd somehow have the stolen base record. That he'd push him to get the stolen base record.
Oh my God.
And then there'd be probably fireworks going off after watching a bunch of videos. There may be some last man standing matches between the umpires. Yeah, you'd have a good old, screw job gimmick, probably from the 1908 Black Sox that they would be showcasing.
1919. What do you?
1919, whatever. Yeah, 1908 was the Cubs. There you go. Messing up my my history there. I don't know. That's the best I could do on the spot.
That's not bad. I mean, hey, Brett, good news. That means in Brett's world, in Jake's world, with Vince McMahon and in charge of things, Eddie Goodell gets to go into the Hall of Fame because he's going to be one of those little people in the front, part of. I don't know if you know who Eddie Goodell, but he was the guy that was it Bill
Mhm.
Veeck, who he hired to. He was like what 4 feet tall or some crap like that, 3 feet tall, and he
Yeah.
got an official at bat, I think, or was it just a plate appearance? Because I think he walked because he was so short. The strike zone was so short. But yeah, he was
Mhm.
there as a gimmick, brother, and yeah, now it's good to know that Vince McMahon will put him in his Hall of Fame. Brett, what do you think?
I just think they would, the WWE has a certain formula when they, induct people into the Hall of Fame. You have your headliner, you have your tag team, you have your female, and you have your person of color. So, the only thing I'm really struggling with would be the tag team, I guess, and the woman too, because, baseball's a male sport and everything like that, but you could do if you're going to do a headliner. Obviously this year is going to be Derek Jeter. I think he would definitely play up the whole he wasn't voted in unanimously, the one person didn't vote for him kind of thing. I think he would have Jeter work that into his Hall of Fame speech. Jeter turns heel because one writer didn't vote for him for the Hall of Fame. I could see that happening. I think that would be great. And then Jeter comes out and I don't know. What do you think Jeter's finisher would be? Like a stunner maybe, or?
First of all, the storyline, you got your storyline for next year's WrestleMania already intact. Like, yeah, Jeter's on a rampage looking for that writer who didn't vote him in.
It'd be a spinning elbow, 100%.
Spinning
Like
elbow.
the famous foot blade.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like,
Mhm.
like spinning elbow, he's spinning around at shortstop. He'd do like a spinning Bad News Barrett elbow.
I can see that happening. May I just suggest that for tag team, I mean, it could be a duo. I was thinking maybe Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig going in as a tag team, which in this
Ooh,
case,
that's a good idea.
I mean, in this case, Babe Ruth would go in twice he'd be in there as a singles competitor and as a tag team as well. Female, Jessica Mendoza. She's a woman. McMahon would do that too. Oh, her contributions in my office. I mean, in the world of baseball entertainment, and he would do that. So the thing you got to think about
all the famous hot reporters in there, from Fox Sports Net, just like a wide gambit of them, just in the Hall of Fame, and that. That look that he'd have on there. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, report this.
So with the tag team, does that open up A-Rod and Jeter going in together as a tag team?
Absolutely, and Yankee fans will rejoice. And well, no, not really, because A-Rod is a pretty polarizing figure. He's a polarizing figure now as a broadcaster, so that's always going to be his MO. Like, you either love him or hate him, and there's no in between with that guy. But no, thing you got.
He's the Michael Cole of baseball.
Oh my God!
He'd have Mookie Betts show up with Mookie Crisp cereal and start throwing it everywhere.
Mookie Crisp. I was gonna say, well, I mean, I could see McMahon loving A-Rod. He loves Cole to a certain extent. Michael Cole, not Adam Cole, but he does love him. So I would assume that
Garrett Cole.
Jesus, Garrett Cole, all the Yankees. Well, I mean,
why are we making this about the Yankees? Oh, I hate my life.
Well, because McMahon is a New York. His promotion is a New York-based promotion, and the Yankees are also New York. So basically, if you ever play for the Red Sox, the Phillies, the Orioles, and the Yankees, you're in good standing with them. Even the Blue Jays. I just named you like his. Even the old WWF's main territory, like Toronto is still a hot city for WWE wrestling. New York, Boston, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, they're all part of that WWE's epicenter. So yeah, of course it's going to be the freaking Yankees and the Orioles and all those teams. But here's the thing you got to remember. I'm like, man, he loves himself a nice looking body, man. All those steroid users who can't get into the fucking Hall of Fame because of steroid use.
Yeah.
The Barry Bonds of the world. Oh, Barry Bonds is a first ballot Hall of Famer. McMahon's Hall of Fame. Yeah, look at his big ass head. Go into his office. Hey, check out my head. No, the other one. That's some good shit, pal. So that's what he would do. So that's one. So and Roger Clemens would be in a long time ago. I mean, think about it. Roger Clemens is the embodiment of the WWE's history.
Roger Clemens, he would be booked like the big boss man, though.
No. Clemens would. I mean, you got to think about it, man. Clemens would be like Bruno Sammartino at this point. I know I mentioned Bruno Sammartino a lot, but think about it. Big in Boston. That's where Clemens got his start. And that's where McMahon's located anyway. Titan Towers in New England, right? Connecticut. New York, He went with the Yankees, where he made it big. I mean, Madison Square Garden, that's like the epicenter of the WWE. Toronto, he did that 1 year in Toronto or half a year, 1.5 years in Toronto with the Blue Jays. Like I just mentioned, Toronto's a big WWE city. It's always been, and it always will be. Roger Clemens would be the perfect Vince McMahon Hall of Famer.
And Kurt Schilling would get his shot too.
Oh, absolutely.
And speaking of which, there's one person who'll never get into the Baseball Hall of Fame without Vince McMahon, but would get into the Baseball Hall of Fame if Vince McMahon was booking it, and that is Peter Rose.
Oh, yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you.
But he didn't induct him in that chicken outfit and then have Kane tombstone through trophies.
But hey, at least it'll get people to just shut up about Pete Rose not being in the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
It took a carny to bring in a carny into the Hall of Fame. Good job, you guys. Of course. Well, the way I see it, he did nothing wrong. He just evened the odds by gambling and putting money on his team and against his team. I see nothing wrong with that gimmick. It made him successful. and he's the hit king. Although, hey, Pete Rose did once quote himself as being the hit queen. So McMahon loves himself some drag. So it works out for him either way. Mascots, any mascots go into the Hall of Fame, like the San Diego Chicken or the Philly Fanatic into the Baseball Hall of Fame, guys?
I mean, you got to put the Fanatic in.
Yeah, right.
He's probably, I can't think of, I mean, as far as pro sports go, I can't really think of a more famous professional mascot. So you're welcome, Philly fans. You get one in.
I think Vince McMahon would put in Bob Uecker in Major League into the Hall of Fame. Not the actual Bob Uecker, but like the Major League character.
He would do that.
Him. That's him. That's him. No, he's better. It's a better gimmick. I like it when he gets drunk. That's a good gimmick.
Because he would do that because like we're only accepting this version of this one guy, not all the versions. No, we just want to make sure that he's in there as the big boss man and not I don't know what are they, Big Bubba or whatever. Big Bubba Rogers, I think was the other one. No. Only the big bossman is in the Hall of Fame, not the other gimmicks he did beforehand or afterhand. Now the Legion of Doom, they get into the Hall of Fame, but not the Road Warriors because they're not
Road Warriors.
Yeah, no, it's the Legion of Doom.
Who was the stable on the Reds in the 70s?
Oh, the Big Red Machine.
Big Red Machine.
Yeah. There you go.
And Kane gets to present them.
Yeah. Hellfire and pine tar.
Hey. And lots of amphetamines.
And then Pete Rose gets to shittily sell a tombstone again.
Man. What a world. The mayor inducting the Cincinnati Reds as a stable. and then just for good measure, they leave out a guy like Joe Morgan because he would eventually end up with the Houston Astros or whatever. So I could see McMahon being pissed off at Joe Morgan just for no reason, just because he's Joe Morgan. So that's one.
Yeah.
Getting back to the mascots. So yeah, can you imagine that you got the San Diego Chicken, right? You got the Philly Fanatic, and of course the most important mascot of them all, the Gobbledygooker. They all have to go in.
I think also, who was that minor league coach that went on their rampage with like throwing the bases and doing the grenade? The Braves minor league coach.
I forgot his name. I know what you're talking about. I don't remember his name, but yeah, he would go into the Hall of Fame.
That's a strong gimmick. Vince would love that.
The strong gimmick.
He's super over with the fans.
Oh man, but yeah, so far we have little people. We have Babe Ruth going in twice, Derek Jeter, Lou Gehrig, Jessica Mendoza, A-Rod going in. That means Jerry Jeter's going in twice, and he has a WrestleMania match already booked up for next year. And who are we missing here? Oh, the landscapers. The mascots are going in as well. And anybody else? All the steroid users. They're all getting in.
Steroid users. Yeah.
Kurt Schilling.
Oh, Kurt Schilling. You know who else will go in? Daryl Strawberry and Doc Gooden, because McMahon believes that nothing can, like cocaine will never harm him, and there's these other guys who did cocaine in the 80s too.
He would make Daryl Strawberry have like come out that he has another disease again, and it'd be like a ruse, like kind of like Roman Reigns, and like go down that path.
Oh.
He would pull some horrible crap like that.
Holy crap! You just brought that up, didn't you? Oh my god!
Not me. I'm just saying it's Vince McMahon.
Oh my god! Hey, got a lot of this, pal. Remember the 80s? And then just snort butts everywhere. All right. Anything else? Are we done with this gimmick, or will we keep going? Say
I
now.
got nothing else.
Gimmicked out.
Jacob. All right. And that is How's Your Territory doing? Vince McMahon booking the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Honestly, it looks like it might be a better one than the real version anyway, because everything's better when it's fake. So that brings us to the next order of business, and that's the Royal Rumble recap, just because, we have things to say. So, Brett, since you wanted to bring it up and talk about it, let's have you start out about the Royal Rumble recap.
So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into the biggest part of the Royal Rumble for me and a lot of fans, and that was the return of the Rated R Superstar Edge. I know we had talked about it briefly on the preview podcast that we did for it, and I was kind of wishy-washy about it, but as Royal Rumble Sunday was going on, and I got to thinking about it more, and I started reading all this stuff online, I started getting real excited about it. And then it got to that point, and the Rumble was going on, and I was just chilling on the couch, half laying down, watching the match, enjoying it and everything. And all of a sudden you hear, "You think you know me?" And I was like, "Oh my God, no way. No way." And then there he was, and it was so cool. I was that was since I started watching wrestling again, that was the biggest moment for me, because that was when the part of the reason why I got back into it was the Edge and Christian podcast, them talking about it. So I got the network, and I started watching a bunch of those old matches, Edge's runs, all that stuff. And I think the day before, maybe a couple days before, I had watched all of Edge's Elimination Chamber match. We were talking about the Elimination Chamber as well. And just watching that guy work, and it was something else. And then he came in and he actually looked pretty good. And I had mentioned something in the thread, and I did verify this. Him and Beth Phoenix are actually the first husband-wife duo to make the Final Four of a Royal Rumble. The only other one it could have been was Brie Bella and Daniel Bryan, and I'm 99% sure Daniel Bryan never made it into a Final Four of a Rumble.
Wow.
So Edge coming back huge the next night on Raw with the starting of the Randy Orton storyline. I think that's going to be great. So yeah, let's go ahead and circle back to the results. What did you guys think of the show in general? Any matches stick out or anything like that?
I just have a really quick question. You brought up something about the network, right? And having you go back and appreciating Edge more than you thought you did to begin with. Jake, do you have? I mean, you have the network, right?
I actually got rid of it and then got it back for the Rumble.
Okay. Well, when you did have the network, did you watch any of those old episodes of Raw or any of those that's in the vault?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you?
Yeah.
Who's your wrestler that you appreciate more now that since you were watching the vault? Well, while you think about it, while you think about it, I got one. Slam dunk. This one's easy. Ric Flair. Yeah. I mean, it's an obvious one, but I mean, I didn't grow up watching WCW like some of these older members of our group did, like an EJ Fulbright who was there in the 80s. I mean, you'll see them. Like, yeah, they grew up with Flair, and he was a man. But 90s. Bret Hart was my guy, and I grew up with Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, all of them guys.
Oh, Razor Ramon sold. There you go.
That's
absolutely, dude. Those promos and those horrible Scarface impressions, like and like all that stuff. It was so good. He was like at Hooters, and he just like was complaining about his check. He's pushing guys in random water fountains. He's driving like cars that are obviously just rented for the skit. Like it's so good. It's gold.
It's gold, Jerry. What was I gonna say? But yeah, I love Razor Ramon. I mean, like I don't know if I mentioned it in our podcast, Jake. Oh, by the way, for those who don't know, Jake and I used to do a podcast a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I mentioned it to you or to Brett, but Razor Ramon, me and my brother actually believe that he was Latino, and that's why he became one of our favorite wrestler, because representation matters, even if it's a fake Cuban. But no, for me it was Ric Flair. For me, it was Ric Flair, because I didn't understand as a kid what he was trying to do, what his thing was. It just seemed like he was always cheating, and just what was very slimy, and it just sucked. And if you compared him to Hulk Hogan, and of course Hulk Hogan's gonna whip his ass every single time. But then as an adult now, 20, 30 years later, I'm watching all these Nitros from 95, 96, and he's been the absolute best part of those Nitro shows, like the absolute best. He's just a grade above everybody else, including Hogan, and people still love him even in that time, even as his popularity is kind of waning, and he's trying to be a shit heel. Yeah, he still was the best among everybody in that roster. So yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, see, that's the one thing I love about that vault, is you get to watch this old stuff, and it just makes you grow to appreciate this stuff. And and getting back to Brett Moore saying about Edge, I mean, yeah, I'm so glad. Did we talk about Edge on the last episode? How I always knew he had it in him, and all that.
It might have came up. I don't really remember.
Yeah. Well, I thought in the '90s I loved Edge, loved him, and I stopped watching wrestling for about 15 years, and then when I found out that he was like the main attraction on SmackDown, like, well, that's not surprising, but many people at that time were like, "Oh, I can't believe Edge is like the main guy now." I'm like, why are you surprised? It's Edge. He's everything. Right. But the one thing I don't like about...
Did you watch him during the Brood days?
Yes. When I had the video games and I create my character, whether it be No Mercy or WrestleMania 2000, the Brood was my entrance music.
It's so good. So underrated.
Oh, it's such a great song, man. Edge's first song was amazing as well. I mean, those guys did it right. Christian, Edge, Brood, anybody connected with those guys, Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, those were the guys I was attracted to. Anyway, sorry, I got off a tangent.
Gangrel was the leader. I know, tangent. I was going to say, Gangrel was the leader, and like no one even remembers who that guy was. But he was the leader of the Brood.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah. Well, that's because Edge and Christian went on to be one of the greatest tag teams of all time. You know, Edge is Edge. I mean, he's one of the best world champions of all time. I mean, as far as total package and everything like that, he had the greatest storyline romance of all time with Vicky Guerrero. I'll fight anybody about that one. And then Christian's the guy you put out there if you want to get the new guy over. So, you know, it kind of sucks that Gangrel got lost in the shuffle because of that. But I mean, it kind of is what it is. You also don't get Edge and Christian without Gangrel. So
right. And let's not sell Christian too short. I mean, he did have a hell of a run at Impact back in the 2011 was it? He was even champion, and he was a main player on that roster. So let's not sell him too short. I know it's just Impact or TNA as it used to be called, but let's give Christian his credit where credit is due.
In WWE, I mean, he had a pretty long run. I think he was ECW champion, but he actually held a lot of titles in WWE, whether they were tag titles or Intercontinental belt or European champion back in the day. But he had a pretty good run, he was never the guy of the roster, right? He just didn't get up to that, where Edge was the guy repeatedly for the 2000s.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brett.
And I mean, you guys, if you've been in the group for any amount of time, you know my stance on Christian. I think he's the most underrated superstar in the history of the WWE. I can't really think of anybody else that did more and gets less recognition for it. You know,
Brett, would he be the underrated R superstar for you?
I like that. That's good. We should pitch that to him, and I think he'd kind of dig that. He's got a good sense of humor, and I hope they bring Christian into the storyline too that they're doing with Orton, man, that would be so awesome to get both of those guys back there. Oh, that would just be so amazing. I'd love it.
Felipe, do you think that I was thinking about this after the Rumble. Do you think that they purposely brought John Morrison back earlier because they didn't want him to possibly take away from the pop that Edge got at the Rumble? Like, they didn't want his entrance to come out, not necessarily live up to as much as Edge, but just take the crowd's like excitement away a little bit.
Good question. I'm not sure because it seemed like the Edge thing. Well, I guess they've been working on it because they've been kind of dropping hints that he was coming back. So maybe my timeline's not as concrete as I think it is. But that's a good question. I want to say that John Morrison it was his time to just come on board. I mean, was in Mexico for a long time, and then he was doing AAA stuff and then Impact stuff, and he's just traveling all over the world. And when his contract was up, it was time for him to just take a more, for lack of a better term, stable WWE lifestyle, where he's back in the U.S. and the guy gets paid a lot more money, probably to do less work. So I think it was. I don't think. I mean, to think that John Morrison would have gotten that same pop as Edge, I don't think so. As much as I love John Morrison, he's no Edge. I'm sorry. And I mean, you saw that Edge. He got the pyro. He got the big entrance. He even got to injure AJ Styles and no one bats an eye on it. So, yeah, he gets away with that. One thing I didn't like about Edge was that he needs to shave whatever that thing's in his face. He needs to shave it. He looks like Jiminy Cricket from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He looks like a goddamn crackhead. Seriously, what the hell, man? But yeah, let's go back to the Royal Rumble. Brett, what specifically did you want to talk about with the Royal Rumble besides Edge coming back?
I thought it was a great show. Yeah. Like, as far as WWE shows in the last couple of years, I thought it was the best one. At least in the last year or so. I thought all the matches were really good. That strap match with Daniel Bryan and The Fiend could have been a real cluster, and it ended up being very, very good. I thought both the women's matches were very well done. I really like the Bayley as a heel and that whole angle with Lacey Evans and her daughter. I thought that was really well done as well. And then the Rumble match itself, that whole thing with, feeding Brock Lesnar, the first 15 guys, which to give him credit, Felipe did call that. But, it was well done. I mean, that was something that they could have done that it could have really, really sucked. And, it wasn't like that at all. It was well done. I like that thing they did with Shelton Benjamin, in the middle of it, where they thought they were going to team up and everything like that. And then he just tosses him out. I like the constant shots of Paul Heyman on the side. And then you got the winner, Drew McIntyre, come in, Claymore kicking him to hell. He got kicked in the dick, and then, you have Drew McIntyre being the badass that's going in there throwing everybody out and then just staring Brock Lesnar down as he's laying on the ground. I thought it was really well done. It was a great Rumble match.
You know who gave him the low blow before McIntyre Claymored him over the rope, right?
It was Ricochet.
And who's he facing at Showdown? Ricochet.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I agree. I think it was one of the best Rumbles since I think it was Felipe. Was it 2016 with John Cena, AJ Styles, that Royal Rumble pay-per-view? We did one of our award shows, and that had won best pay-per-view. But
27. That's 2017.
I do agree. About. I think it was a really 2017. Yeah, thank you. 2017. That Rumble was awesome. But the psychology of the Royal Rumble was so good, and they really could have botched Brock Lesnar, and it could have felt like more of the shove him down your throat. But I think a lot of the fans that typically hate Brock Lesnar actually fell in love with the angle they used, because it still allowed for the mega over strong force of nature that Brock is to take place while giving 16 to 30 the opportunity to still compete and have some great storylines. You had unbelievable dichotomy in the ring. There's a lot of wrestling in the ring that kind of got overshadowed by all the like nostalgia from Edge. There was a lot of excellent reversals, off the top rope moves, finishers were going off left and right. I mean, just a lot of stuff like that you missed if you weren't really paying attention. That really it was a really solid match all around. So the Royal Rumble match itself was great. I did like the Women's Rumble. I wasn't crazy about Charlotte winning, but whatever. And then Lacey Evans, Bayley. I gotta admit, when Felipe and I used to have these podcasts, I hated Bayley. I could not stand her. But Bayley as a heel, man, she's good. She's really good. And I got to give it up to her. But, even the Corbin-Roman Reigns match was really good. They brought it to the outside. It was like shades of Shane McMahon, Miz. And they're like outside of the ring match. You had the Usos off the top of the balcony onto Corbin's henchmen. So it was pretty cool.
Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, because for me it was like a chore. As most WWE shows are a chore for me anyway. So you guys love the Royal Rumble. I thought it was predictable because I called it. I told you that was exactly what's going to happen. I'll give Lesnar his credit where it's due. I mean, I thought he was marvelous in that whole thing. I really enjoyed. I thought I was gonna like hate it, but I enjoyed his dominance, and it created a lot of good storylines. A lot of good storylines of potential with maybe Keith Lee versus Lesnar in the future. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Maybe AJ Styles and Edge. AJ Styles getting revenge for Edge messing up his shoulder. That would be cool. But I thought it was predictable. The whole show was kind of dull for me anyway. I mean, the women's matches, as much as people like to shit on the all elite women's wrestlers, all the two matches, Lynch and Asuka, that was disappointing for me. Who's the other one? Bayley and Lacey, and that was dragging Ball Z over there. And what was the other match that I got to see? Oh, the Women's Rumble. I love me some women's wrestling, even though I've been dissing of this whole episode.
What about the was it the first match, Andrade versus Humberto?
I missed it. I was somebody. I'm not gonna mention any names. So somebody gave me the wrong time as to when this show started. So,
dude, they're like at 6 o'clock nowadays, or 6 Eastern time.
Dr. Nick, Dr. Nick gave me the wrong info, but that's okay. He set up the whole meetup. So, but I did miss that. I missed the Roman Reigns stuff, which sounds like I'm glad I did. Although I kind of wanted to see the dugout of the Houston Astros, just because I'm curious to see how that layout was. But anyway, the Women's Rumble, which is one that I always look forward to because I've been in love with the women's, especially the Rumble, since they initialized it back in, was that also in 2017 or 2018? And I was left disappointed. It was sloppy, at least from what I'm used to seeing from these women. These are supposed to be the best of the world in terms of the women's wrestlers. And they were just as sloppy as any All Elite, like how people complain about All Elite Wrestling's women's division. So I did not enjoy that. I forget, there was another match that I was kind of blasé about. The only thing I loved about the Royal Rumble when it was all said and done was Drew Galloway. Yeah, I still call him Drew Galloway. Fuck you. Drew Galloway. I cannot believe it took them this long to realize that Drew Galloway could be that guy. And he looked like $1 million defeating everybody in that Rumble. And that was my mark out moment. That's the guy I was watching in 2016 at Impact, and I loved him then, and I love him even more now. And now they have no choice but to give him that spotlight at WrestleMania. So I'm actually looking forward to WrestleMania when Galloway gets in there. And I don't know who would he face at that point. Have they decided?
Lesnar. If Lesnar beats Ricochet, it'll be Lesnar. But here's the thing, though. They got to be careful because he's a babyface now. And I don't like him. We'll see how it goes. I guess it's kind of like anti-hero, not necessarily true face. But I don't know. I cannot stand I've worked for 30 years, 15 years, 10 years, 5 years to get where I am, and I'm crying about it, and that's the angle that we're going to display. It's like poor writing to me. So I hate when they do stuff like this. Like, I don't know. So I really hope like he turns heel after beating Lesnar, and then he just goes on a tirade of that dark Drew Galloway character from Impact, because that would be awesome.
It's easy to book Galloway. It's easy because he was the fighting champion at Impact. He could be that fighting champion compared to Lesnar. He's just by him showing up every week, he's already a fighting champion over Lesnar. Lesnar never shows up for anything unless there's big money involved, I guess. I don't know. But, I mean, that's your angle. Like you said, you don't have to do that 30 years. I've been working hard at this. Like, no, just be as your champion. He did it as a face at Impact. As your champion, I will take on any newcomers. I will take on all challengers. And that should be good enough. You would think so. It would be good enough for me. But I don't know. You guys, you tell me if that would – I mean, Brett, would that be good enough if Galloway defeats Lesnar and he just week in and week out defends the title belt like because he's a fighting champion?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I wasn't super high on Drew, you know, when like a year ago when they were trying to do this push and everything, I just didn't get it, you know, but he's one of those guys, the more I see him, the more I like him. I like listening to him talk. I'm a big sucker for accents. I love listening to, like, especially the Scottish and Irish accents and everything. You know, I love listening to Scottish dudes talk. You know, I got a.
What are you, like a 17-year-old blonde girl that goes abroad? Like...
I just like accents. It's pleasing to the ears. It's very musical.
That's fair.
You know,
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And it's like Southern accents. Like a lot of them are real flowy and everything like that. So
especially Scottish.
I just like accents.
Yeah, I cannot stand Sheamus though. I don't like when Sheamus talks.
Brett, what do you think about Jake's Southern accent?
Jake has a Southern accent?
He's from Florida.
It's like a lack of accent.
He's from Florida. I'm saying.
I didn't notice. To me, this just sounds like three Midwestern guys just talking.
Oh, I remember now. The match that I forgot about.
But, I mean.
Oh, go ahead. Finish up, Brett. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to go back to this whole the Becky Lynch and Asuka match thing. Because I don't get it. I thought it was a great match. You know, it told a great story. That's the one thing I've always liked about Becky Lynch's matches is her matches always tell a good story. The psychology's always there. I just don't get it. I didn't understand the hate it was getting. I thought it was a really good match.
Jake, you want to piggyback? You want to answer that, or you want me to answer that?
Go for it, dude.
Okay, so when you've seen better from these two, you will be disappointed. I mean, you could talk to me about ring psychology and all that, but I've seen Becky perform better than that. I've seen Asuka perform better than that. And you would think that these two awesome female wrestlers would get together and provide some magic for the Royal Rumble, the biggest event of the year up to that point for the WWE. And it sucked. I'm sorry. It was sloppy. They were botching everywhere. If this was All Elite Wrestling, you guys would Botchy Lynch, Botchka. What the fuck, man? If this was AEW, I would be seeing videos of Becky Lynch and Asuka just messing up that Royal Rumble match. It's the Royal Rumble. If this was like what Roadblock, I understand. Whatever. If this was fucking Extreme Rules, I understand. It's the Royal Rumble. Bring your freaking A game next time. I don't want to hear excuses. Yeah, thanks for the ring psychology, but I want everything. I'm not asking for much. The biggest events of the year, you should have the best matches.
And they weren't even pulling double duty last night or on the Royal Rumble night, were they?
No, I didn't see them again.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, excuses after excuses. Come on, guys.
No, I thought the ending was like kind of anticlimactic. They had the green mist, but I was like, I'm not a Becky Lynch guy. I'm sorry. I just can't get there. Like, I thought the Twitter stuff was awesome, but I think her finishing move is weak. I think, her promo ability has been lackluster over this past year, and I've always thought she wasn't a great in-ring competitor. I thought Charlotte, Sasha Banks, and Bayley, outshined her, and that's saying something because I wasn't even crazy about Bayley. But
well, let me ask you, Brett. Do you think that it's been about a year, maybe 2 years of Becky Lynch being at the top of the women's division? Is her time coming to an end pretty soon? Maybe at WrestleMania, like where she's not longer the champion.
It's a possibility. I mean, you can't stay champion forever, and it's been a year because she won the match she won the belts. She was Becky 2 belts at WrestleMania. So last year, so that's when it started. I mean, it's bound to happen eventually. That's what always drew me to Becky Lynch is I like promos and I like stories, and her matches always tell a good story. I think, her body language and like the facials she makes and her ability to sell her emotions and things like that, I think is one of the best in the business, at least the best in the women's division in the WWE, as far as I'm concerned. I can't think of anybody else that does it better.
Yeah, I agree with you on the point that there's really not much under her. Like, I don't think there's many other female superstars that could take that brass ring from her and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand why. If I was Vince, Russo, McMahon, Heyman, Bischoff, I would go in and I would absolutely make Becky Lynch be Conor McGregor. Like, just copy it. Just copy it. Just copy what he does and just have her be the female McGregor. They started to do that, like when she first started out with her promos, and I was like, brilliant, freaking brilliant. They should have kept going with it. Now she's just like, I'm the man, and I have something to prove.
You know why?
Asuka beat me 3 times. Why?
Jake,
why?
you know
Why?
She's still a baby face, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I keep telling you guys, I preach it in the group every single day. When McMahon has a baby face in his hands, he has to turn them into dorks. He did it with Seth Rollins, and he's doing it with Becky Lynch. That's what happens because you're representing the company, and so you have to make sure you fit that corporate style, that corporate mode. We got stockholders, we got holding stocks, and we're gonna put you in the stocks if you fuck up. So it's so formulaic. And I'm with you, Jake. She was amazing last year around this time, and now it's like, how the hell did you make this so stale? Like,
turn
the badass
that up.
They always do, though. Every one of them, they do, and it's raising my blood pressure. God damn it! So, the other person I wanted to talk about before I forget. No, I'm burning all the bridges. Fuck this shit. I'm leaving. I'm gone for now. But the other one I don't was Bray Wyatt, and who the hell did he face that night?
Daniel Bryan.
Delete.
I'm telling you, man. Listen, I love Bray Wyatt. I think he's a creative person. He's just has a sense for the business. He cannot do any fucking in-ring work. He's awful. He's the shit. Every single match he does, he puts me to sleep. And I know it wasn't the only one. I have witnesses that were there with me watching the Royal Rumble at the bar. It was dead, just that whole strap match. And that was with a good worker and Daniel Bryan trying to carry him. And he still just looks awful. Listen, creative, great promo guy. I don't know if I want to keep seeing. I don't know if I want to see another match with him ever again because I don't like him. He does nothing for me inside the ring. Maybe I don't know. I as you can tell, I'm very overreacting and very triggered by this. It just pisses me off. Like this is the best of the WWE has to bring. And when the mics are gone and the gimmicks are gone and all he has is that stupid mask on, he can't fucking wrestle out of a wet paper brown bag. He's awful. And that's my rant right there. Go ahead, you guys respond to that while I drink my soup here.
I like Bray Wyatt. I liked Bray Wyatt before. I like Bray Wyatt now. I've always been a fan. I can't disagree more.
Felipe, you couldn't be more wrong, dude. That's a horrible take. That's a shit take.
Bad.
Shit take mushrooms.
Bad.
Shit take mushrooms.
Like I said,
that was bad. Here's why. Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, the character. You have to understand what the character is, and when they're doing a match like that, it's telling a story. And
boring story.
If you look, a horror story, fair.
Boring story.
Oh, boring story.
Yeah.
The red light wasn't on finally, but if you look at any like wrestling outlet, everyone's rating that match like an A+. And like, so you're like literally the only person that did not like that match. It's the psychology. He's in the ring to look like the overpowering, unstoppable force. And that's what he's there to do. That at times looks like he might be beaten, with Daniel Bryan carrying the weight of the athleticism in the match. And he's there to put him down and destroy him at the end. They had great spots in the match, multiple spots. He has an excellent finisher. That finisher is butter.
That's the only thing that's good about him is the finisher inside the ring. Everything else is great. Like, I love the character. I've always loved Bray Wyatt. The entrances are amazing. Like, once he gets into the ring, it's like, oh, boy, it's nap time. Get me my pajamas and my pillow. I'm ready to go, man. Great way to – who needs to go on Ambien? You have Bray Wyatt matches.
It's like – careful, you might be on the wall in the Firefly Funhouse next. That's what we should do with our next podcast. Now that you're gone, is just have your frame of your picture up in the background with a red X over it.
With the X's over the eyes.
Well, not X's on my wrist, right, or my hand, because that would make me CM Punk, right?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, CM Punk. Is he still doing that after show thing with SmackDown?
I don't know. I don't watch SmackDown.
Not bad.
Like, all right, are we done with the Royal Rumble? Are you guys still?
Yeah, let's be done with it.
All right. Brett also had the Dusty Classic results, his weekly or bi-weekly results for Dusty Classic. What do you got for me, Brett?
So the winner of the Dusty Classic Tag Team Championship was the Brotherweights, who defeated the Grizzled Young Veterans in the finals on NXT 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so that's it. Broserweights. That was just an excuse for me to do my Dusty because I love doing my Dusty. But yeah, you know how I feel about Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle. I was cool with it, and the Broserweights, the name, I liked it. So
Genius.
A+ baby.
Jake, you watch any NXT whatsoever? Do you have time for NXT at all?
I watch every now and then. I'm not probably as big of a NXT watcher as you guys. I definitely watch the TakeOver events, and every now and then I've watched some Finn Balor matches since he's been back. I used to watch when Velveteen Dream was healthy. I loved him. I thought he was incredible.
And that guy could be.
He's back.
Oh,
he is back. Oh,
yeah, he came back last night.
But it seems like every time he's on his way up, he gets hurt, and that's a damn shame because he's really damn good. I like him a lot, but you can't stay healthy. What can you do? Anyway, let's move on quickly because we're over an hour. But like I said, we might as well make it long because this is my last show anyway, so whatever. Brett had written down something about Alexa Bliss's weird fans. I need you to explain to me.
We're so over. We're overtime.
We're overtime. We don't get paid overtime, brother. So, Brett, please explain to me the deal with Alexa Bliss's male fans. Like I'm a 5-year-old.
Well, and it's not just Alexa Bliss. Like, you see this with all the female wrestlers. Like, you know, no matter how good they are, it always comes down to, you know, you're a girl and you're cute and I want you to sit on my face and things like that. And, you know, if you're looking at this, if this was like the diva, it's not the diva time anymore. Like, these women can go. These women put on great matches all the time, and it just seems ridiculous to me that, you know, it's to the point now where Alexa Bliss is posting pictures on Instagram and ends it with, "Oh, and here's my butt, enjoy it." You know, it just seems ridiculous to me. We should be past this.
Well, hey, give her credit. She's giving the people what they want. I don't know.
I guess that's true. But I mean, it's still an objectification, and it just seems unnecessary to
me. It makes me uncomfortable. It's all the bad things I hated about the Attitude Era. The current product doesn't push for that, but the fans do. The creepy male fans do, and that's awful because, like you said, I that's the one thing about the WWE that I would still watch, whether it be Raw or SmackDown, the main brand promotions, is the women's matches because. And Jake, I think I talked to you this a long time ago about this, that it's just so much fun to watch the women wrestle. Their gimmicks are better. They're more colorful. I mean, for some reason.
Better?
Yeah, I'll go with better. And here's why. They for some reason, the women are allowed to use color. And all the men, they're just monochromatic. It's either white, they're wearing something white, they're wearing something black, they're wearing something gray or off scale or off gray or whatever. But you got the women who are just coming in like colorful, like the 80s, right? Like everybody looks like Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior coming into the ring, and Hulk Hogan, and it's like so colorful. It's very vibrant, and then they get into the ring, and oh my God, they can also go in the ring unless it's Royal Rumble, then they just forget how to match. Anyway, but no, it's fun. And I get really excited, and the fact that, like you mentioned, Brett, they get objectified. It's a damn shame because they can't be seen as anything else but sex objects. Jacob, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. The caliber of talent from a wrestling perspective is incredible nowadays, and it's a whole new respect. I mean, you know, I don't want to be lost though how far they've come. You know, and how Triple H has been a super advocate to helping them really break out of that mold and become, wrestlers and the dedication that they've brought into like training them at the performance centers and stuff to get them up to speed has been remarkable. But I also think that, you know, like Alexa's a good example. Like if you don't want that, don't be part of the problem. You know, like you got to be careful. If you're, you know, Lana, her, you know, even Zelina, like that, if you're gonna pose and when you do the entrance, do the sexy entrance, I mean, you're I don't know if they're being instructed to do so or that's their choice, whatever the case is, but that stuff's got to stop if you really want it to change. Like Rhea Ripley, you know, she sells it well. And she is a good-looking woman, but she is all about the character and the wrestling, and you know that's how it should be. If you want to get past it, Charlotte Flair, I'm sorry, that gimmick's a knockoff of her dad. I don't really buy it. But she's super. But unfortunately, she's talented, and so like you know, like it's just you know, figure eight or whatever it's called. Well, like you know, that's my take. Is I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think if we really want to get past it, the actual women have to actually buy into not contributing to the problem.
Well, that sounds a little bit too much like blaming the victim. I mean, number one, maybe they are instructed. Number two, this is the same organization that encourages all the women to get breast augmentations, including Alexa Bliss, for some goddamn reason. I don't understand why.
Has she?
Yeah, didn't she? I thought she did. I know Charlotte did. Like,
Charlotte definitely did.
I thought Alexa Bliss did as well a couple years ago. And like, why? I mean, she's. But anyway. But the point is, I mean, it's sex appeal, right? It's part of the show. It's part of wrestling. It's part of this whole vaudevillian thing, right? You got to bring in some sex appeal to it. I mean, it's PG rated, but you know, it's still there. But I mean, people should be able to separate the character from the real life person. I mean, we all know wrestling's fake. We all know this and that and the other, but to constantly badger these women. I mean, I've seen pictures of guys posing with these women, these wrestlers, these female wrestlers, and you could just tell that these poor women are uncomfortable as all hell.
That's uncalled for. Yeah, that's uncalled for.
It goes beyond Instagram and Facebook and social media. It goes into the real life as well. Here, let me hold you like you're my girlfriend or something. No, dude, get a fucking life.
Yeah.
That's not your girlfriend. That's a real life human being. Go ahead, Brett.
But here's the thing, like a lot of times, like these women post pictures like in ring when they're doing matches and stuff like that. Like it's one thing if you're posing, you know, doing that like the look behind you kind of thing, where you're definitely showing stuff off. That's one thing. But when you're looking at pictures of like women in the ring mid-match and stuff that they post on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and like half the comments are talking about, oh, you're so sexy and all this stuff. It's like, come on, man. You know, like if you're going to make those comments, make them in the outside the ring posed part of their life. When they're in there doing their job, especially since they're as good as they are, compliment their work, man. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, we don't even see what these sleazeballs are messaging them. Like my buddy's wife is an Instagram model, and like they show me the messages she gets, and it's just, oh God.
So it extends beyond wrestling. It extends beyond wrestling. And before anybody says, well, maybe they shouldn't be wearing those skimpy outfits, it's wrestling. Even guys wear skimpy outfits, but we're not, as guys, we're not objectifying them. Well, what if you're gay? Well, listen, guys, the point is, this is the business. You can, I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like I'm not asking for much.
Do better, boys.
Be better. Just be better. Come on.
Do better.
Do better. Dudley do right better. All right. But no, unfortunately, this is
Dudley do right better.
But like I was gonna say, even though we're past the Attitude Era and it's never coming back, well, the fans are living on that tradition. Brock Lesnar as a worker, Brett, you mentioned it, but didn't we already talk about that kind of sort of?
Yeah, we already talked about that.
So we can.
But I don't want to gloss over his cell after he got knocked out of the ring and sat there for like 3 minutes and then got up all dazed and walked out of the ring like literally like, you know, Thor's hammer was on the boot of Drew McIntyre. Man,
I'll tell you what, the last time I saw Brock Lesnar sell that good of a job was back when he lost to Cain Velasquez for the the UFC Heavyweight Championship. Yeah, fuck you, Brock Lesnar. Brown pride, motherfucker. Anyway, go, Brett.
He was he was beat. Did you see how sweaty that guy was?
That was
Like there was at one point where he was like laying in the middle of the ring and he got up and there was like a 4-inch circumference or whatever, just puddle of his sweat. It was disgusting. He was probably down there just trying to cool off and catch his breath because that's the most he's worked in like 5 years.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's probably the most work he's done in like 10 years at this point, which brings up the next topic. Did money make Brock soft? He can still go when he wants to, but, you know, why? I mean, Brett, what is the inspiration to that question? I guess I want to clarify with you first. What's the inspiration there?
Well, just because if you go back and you watch like his early stuff when he was first breaking into the business and even before he left for the NFL and UFC, dude put on great matches. You know, it wasn't these, you know, beast squash matches and everything. They were actually really good matches, and he could sell and he could work and all that stuff. And once he came back and he got the big contract and everything like that, that kind of went away. I mean, it stands to reason that money would make him soft, but on the flip side of that coin, I think money would make about anybody soft. You know, the least work you have to do for the most amount of money. Who's not going to take that?
It's called efficiency, brother. It's called efficiency. Jake, what do you have to say about that?
I don't buy it. I think it's age. I think it's the fact that he went to the UFC and dominated, and Vince saw the potential once he went there and kind of the different brand that Brock would bring now. And I think he's older. He's got a family. He's had struggles with colitis and like a ton of like health issues that I honestly think that, yes, the money's important, but I also think he is protecting himself health-wise to a degree when he's coming back, because he's dealt with a lot of outside the ring and outside the octagon issues.
Now, I'll tell you what really happened. So back in the early 2000s, mid-2000s, just around the time, he got a heavy dose of reality as to what this business was all about. And even though he was pretty savvy to the business, he found out that when you deal with a bunch of fucking carnies, that you will always get out-carnied by the real carnies, right? And one of them was The Rock was supposed to I forgot what the story was, but the Rock at the last minute, they were going to have a match together, right, at a Raw or a minor pay-per-view event in Miami, Florida. And Lesnar, you know, he doesn't know what's going on, but he knows, well, I'm the top guy, right? So I'm going to win, right? The Rock goes up there. You know, this is the time when The Rock's still kind of doing part-time stuff, kind of like Brock Lesnar's doing. And The Rock goes, hey, man, so just so we're on the same page here, you know you're going down tonight, right? And Lesnar's like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah. You're going down tonight. Am I? Yeah. I just got word. Didn't you get the message? They should have told you. And Lesnar's livid. I want to talk to Vince. He says, I want to talk to. Why the hell am I losing to The Rock tonight? Aren't I the champion? I am the main guy. Why am I losing to The Rock tonight? Oh, pal. Well, we'll talk about this later, they said. And long story short, Lesnar lost to The Rock, but lesson learned, right? So, you know, you always got to protect yourself at all times, number one. Number two, in his book, he mentions that because like Brett said, at one point, I think he genuinely liked the business. He liked the fact that he went from being an amateur wrestler to making all this money being a fake wrestler. And I think he genuinely liked it, and he was always trying to figure out ways to improve his gimmick and improve his craft and trying to see how much more he can impress Vince McMahon so he can get more money. And then one event, he saw The Undertaker come back to the back. And he saw The Undertaker struggling to take his ring attire off. And Lesnar had an epiphany, like, motherfuck, if I keep going this route, I'm going to be just like that guy. And that scared the shit out of him. And that also played a role into why he is the way he is. And, of course, Jake brings up all the other stuff that kind of affected him. But, no, this goes way almost 15, 20 years now where Lesnar has been trying to just play any angle he could play and always chasing that top dollar. And this is the result. This is the evolution of Brock Lesnar.
Fair enough.
No, it happened. No, fair enough. It happened. That's what from the horse's mouth. That's what he said. I'm not making this shit up. That's what he said.
Okay.
I'm not just like you're making it sound like okay. We'll take this fake guy over here. No,
it makes sense.
There's a historical aspect to this thing. I mean, it's recent history and long-term history. And he learned his lesson, and now look at him. He gets to appear like what, once a year? It seems like. I don't know. and it's, Jake, you have something to say? I'm sorry, I keep. You look like you're.
No, you're good. I mean, like, yeah, he's definitely a part-time worker. They usually cut him off between, like, what is it, Survivor Series and Rumble. But he makes like, I don't know, he makes like 5 appearances throughout the year. It's not one.
It's one hand. It's one hand.
A couple of house shows. He does a couple of house shows.
Oh, God bless his heart. And I think I told Brett. Well, Brett isn't.
He doesn't have to though.
But I was gonna say, Brett isn't just Brock Lesnar living the American dream. Like you mentioned, try to do as little work as possible for the most amount of money as you can.
Yeah, that's such a bummer of an American dream, though.
Oh, wait, I think it was Jake. I think it was Jake is who I mentioned this to, but he doesn't even live in America. All-American boy. He's in Canada. He lives his life in Canada, living the American dream. What a jerk. Pay your goddamn taxes. Look at Brett.
You know who
He pays
has
more
it?
taxes in Canada.
That's true. Goldberg has it made. He comes back once a year for $5 million. That's who's got it made.
I think the reason we're ease up on Goldberg as same side of the coin, right? Lesnar and Goldberg are pretty much the same people, but we know that Goldberg's only here for a little bit. No, hear me out. We know that Goldberg's in terms of part-time. Sorry, Brett. In terms of part-time work, we know Goldberg is here for the most part-time of part-time work. Lesnar, technically, he's supposed to be there the entire year, and he takes the belt with him, and we never see the belt ever again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do belts really matter, you guys? You tell me. Are belts that important or what?
Bro, they don't matter.
Why not, Vince?
They're just props, bro. They don't mean anything, like wins and losses and baby faces and heels, bro.
Jake, you have someone from the past who wants to chime in too, or no?
I think they try to make them. They try to make them matter. I'd say they used to matter. I don't know necessarily that they matter anymore in today's world, because you have a lot of people that get over and don't have belts. But like in the 90s, early 2000s, yeah, the belts mattered for sure. The 80s even, the belts mattered absolutely. It meant something when you were a television champion, you're a European champion, you're intercontinental champion. Hell, even Chris Jericho, and when the Miz's early runs, it still meant something. Now it's the 24/7 belt's the biggest thing. That's just that goes to show you, R-Truth, underrated. Talk about underrated. R-Truth, he's underrated.
Well, so is the truth.
I mean, do you even know? I don't even know who the Intercontinental Champion is right now. Do you?
Shinsuke lost it to Braun Strowman. It's Braun Strowman.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Nakamura had it for a very long time, and yeah, we kind of forgot all about him. And I guess maybe Jake does have a point. Maybe they don't really matter. They're just hardware for people to feel good about themselves. I don't know.
That's so sad.
Well, that's the state of our poor dying sport here. Which brings us to our last topic of the evening. Speaking of not mattering anymore, wrestling is fake. I mentioned it numerous times throughout this podcast. But Brett wants to know, what is your answer for wrestling is fake? Which is a question that was brought up in the Wrestling Life group, which is where we're telecasting this podcast. What is your answer for wrestling is fake, Jake?
It's not a lie if you believe it. To quote George Costanza, what I would say is our stuntmen and women, what they do, is that fake? Because it's a orchestrated action and it's choreographed, but there's a lot of non-fake things that happen. I think wrestling actually incurs more injuries than any major sport. You have people that have career-ending injuries. I mean, Edge until recently, Daniel Bryan before that had serious neck injuries. People get hurt constantly. They're doing crazy stunts. And then you also have sometimes you'll have new workers or someone make a mistake and the other worker actually like hits them or does something because they're pissed off for someone botching the match. So while it is fake in a sense of it's choreographed and there's stunts, it's not fake for what's actually happening.
Yeah, that's a very concise response right there. But, the response to that response. It's still fucking fake, bro. You're watching some fake bullshit fighting, play fighting, imaginary fighting. You know how it goes. Brett, what's your response to that?
Yeah, so it's predetermined. They know who the winner is, and the wins and losses don't really matter. That's the only thing that's fake about it. Not the only thing, because you're
Did
not really
Bret Hart know who the winner was?
But I mean, like a lot of the punches and stuff, like that's not really real. But I mean, for most nine times out of 10, all that stuff you see out there is very real. And then I whip out my phone and I show him Mick Foley getting choke slammed through the top of the cage and everything like that. I'm like, tell me that's fake. Tell me that's fake.
Tax? Falling on tax?
Tax.
Doesn't matter if it's choreographed or not. You're falling on tax.
Oh, man.
Right.
Taxes are the worst. It's coming around the corner, guys. April 15th. I think I saw Henry on the chat there, and he does taxes.
Where's Husky Harris and his dad?
IRS. That's funny. Well, my response to that question when it was raised in the wrestling life group was, yeah, I'll admit that it's fake, and I'll join in right with you and say it's fake. But so is your marriage, so is your life, so is everything you believe in. You believe in God, he's fake, or is she real? And then, oh yeah, tell that to you want. I'm burning bridges. Fuck it. You want to really trigger someone, like trigger a person who is a devout Christian, and just refer to God as she, and the face melt that happens is hilarious. And I don't mean to offend my fellow Christians. I am Catholic myself, but I like to laugh at funny things. So whatever, sue me. I don't care. I got nothing to do.
You really are the CM Punk of this podcast, the way you're going out right now.
Should I just draw my X's right now? I should just draw my X's then. I don't drink alcohol anymore.
I've been referring to God as in the female pronouns ever since the first time I saw Dogma. So.
And Alanis Morissette, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Yeah. Dogma.
I was convinced.
maybe I am CM Punk. I should just. I mean, like I said, I don't drink alcohol, but I always tell people that I am more dangerous when I'm sober than I am when I'm drunk. So maybe this is not the Felipe that the world is ready for. But at any rate, that is a good place to stop. If you weren't ready for Felipe now, you're not going to be ready in the future, because this is it for me. These two fine gentlemen are going to be carrying that torch, and I do appreciate you guys carrying that Pod Jobbers legacy that Brett and I started, and Jake's on board. And is Brett, do you have a someone else that's going to be joining you guys as well, or no? Is that official?
Yeah. Eventually, I'm still working on the details, but Matthew Buendia, that's in the group, he's one of my best friends ever. I've known the dude since first grade, maybe, so he's going to be joining us eventually and everything. We just got to iron out the details and everything. I'm excited about that, because like I said in the first podcast, this was my wrestling buddy when I was growing up. So, all those conversations we've had throughout the years, it's going to be cool to get those recorded and to get Jake's perspective on it as well, and work a 3-man booth. So I'm looking forward to bringing him in, and looking forward to working with Jake and Felipe. I'm going to miss the hell out of you, bud, but life happens, and you got shit you need to take care of. And Jake and I are going to carry the flag into the new millennium, brother. So
well, we're on the new millennium, but no, and like I said,
the newer millennium,
the year 3000.
I'm living 1,000 years. Book it.
When a Psycho Sid's grandchildren, great grandchildren will be the new millennium kid. He's gonna be 7'1", and you can't teach that. No, I'm hoping that if you guys will allow me to just every once in a while to chime in, like I mentioned in pre-production, I'm hoping that I could just chime in every once in a while. If you guys will allow me to, I can do that. But if not, it's your show now. It's give you the imaginary keys to you guys, and you do whatever you see what's best fit. You guys are gonna do an amazing job, and I'll be listening. The only thing I don't like is it's gonna be so pro WWE. It's gonna make me sick. I feel like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Like I'm the one person that's saving everything from total collapse, and now it's gonna be like happy-go-lucky WWE style all the time, and there's not going to be any talk about New Japan anymore or any All Elite Wrestling anymore or any I don't know. No, I'm joking.
Well, if it makes you feel better, we're just like Cody Rhodes in a sense. We're tired of paw jobbing to you, and we're gonna now go over on the show. I'm gonna mention Orange Julius every week. That's my mission.
Orange
That
Julius?
man is getting mentioned every week from AEW.
Oh, Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy, yeah. Sorry, Orange Julius. Orange Cassidy.
Well, now I want an Orange Julius.
Just botched his name.
Oh,
that man is 2019, like a hit of 2019. I cannot wait to see what he's going to do in 2020.
Well, hey, if he's 2019, who was 2020?
Ooh. I don't know so far.
Adam Cole, market.
Yeah, you might be right about that,
Wasn't he more 2019 as well? Like,
oh, dude, just wait till 2020.
all right.
You thought it was 2019, baby. Wait till 2020.
2020, he's gonna fix his vision, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Felipe, we always want you back. You're 141.2%, well, able to be back anytime you want.
Yeah, well,
that's like Scott Steiner's math right there.
I think that's exactly what he was trying to do. Well, I have an 8. Well, I'll put it this way: I'll have an 8 1/3 chance of finding some time to be with you guys. But like I said, if you guys will allow me, I could do 5 minutes. But I look forward to being on the backseat on this one and just listening to you guys talk. It's always fun. It was fun working with you, Brett. Jake, it was like riding a bike with you and me back together again. I wish we could have done this more, but I guess
Me too.
yeah. Like I said, I gotta go. I got other things to worry about. Plus, it's fantasy baseball. See, that's really the number one reason why I'm leaving, right? It's fantasy baseball. Winter's always bad for me. I'm so like I gotta get ready for fantasy baseball. But the other reason is there's a baby on the way coming my way, so I gotta be an adult and grow up and.
Now the real truth comes out finally. Fantasy baseball.
Fantasy baseball baby. So
congratulations, and we're super happy for you. And dude, anytime you want to come back, I'm down to have you on the show. I'm excited. So I'm pumped to be working with Brett and his buddy. But we'll have you anytime you want to be back.
Good to know. I'll hold you guys up to that.
Jobber for life.
But in the meantime, I'll pass the torch on to you guys, so to speak. Not to demean you guys, but it does feel like I'm passing the baton, the torch to you guys, as you guys will be taking over. For Brett and I, now it just becomes a separate entity. So yeah, if you'll allow me, I'll come back every once in a while, but I'll try not to intervene too much. I know it's not my show anymore, so I'm turning into Dick Duran. It's my show, but it's not my show, kind of deal. Dick Duran, the old Bears football coach, not Bears. So anyway, on that note, we'll get going. Thank you guys so much for coming on board. Good luck in the future, and we'll see you in the Wrestling Life Facebook group. Take care. All right. Thanks, guys.
Oh, man.
Woo!
Thank you so much. That meant a lot to me. A lot to me that we were able to get this out of the way. And just who's in charge for the future here? Who's going to be recording next time?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jake.
No, I was gonna say, Brett, if you're comfortable, absolutely. If you're not, I can totally do it. It's up to you, man.
Jake, I think you should do it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm still working off my phone at the moment. I'm working out some technical stuff, so
honestly,
it'd probably be better if you did.
Honestly, Brett, you look a lot more comfortable using your phone than you did with your laptop, to be honest with you. So I think you should just stick with the phone.
Was I all right tonight?
Yeah.
I feel like balls, man.
I understand. Just okay.
But you did it last time, so I could do it this time.
I thought you did great. I thought the show was awesome.
Yeah, I had fun.
Yeah. That was good shit, pal.
Yeah.
Good shit. Well, feel better, man.
Thanks, bud.
And I only said that now my Vince McMahon impersonations are gonna be useless at this point. There's no brand vehicle for me to use in. I was just gonna be out of context, and people are gonna ask me, "Why is this guy talking that way?" Shut up, pal. It's good shit. Yeah. So just
like it.
So I just want your future baby to come out saying that. That's the first 3 words Her first 2 words. It's good shit.
Shit,
Just
pal.
comes out. It's good shit, pal.
Shit, pal. Oh my god, man. Hey, you guys, keep in mind, we're no longer under Vince's strict rules of only recording every once in a while, because we were doing every 2 weeks just to get all the shows premiered at the same time or whatever. You guys can go every week if you guys would like to, or every 2 weeks. It's up to you guys. But now you guys have that freedom. This is February. That's what Vince told us that we could do. So just as long as you put it on the calendar and you guys stay consistent, this should work. This should work out in the long run. And you guys are now the new faces of this wrestling podcast and the wrestling group as well. So congratulations on that one.
Sweet.
Yeah, and don't worry. I told the same thing to Leon and Jacob as well. That they're going to be the faces of the basketball group as well, and they're going to get their admin wings as soon as that first episode finally airs for them. But yeah, listen, man. I'm rambling, I know, but this is very emotional for me. I really thought that I could do all 3 of these podcasts, and I was even thinking of bringing in Jake eventually when he didn't get so busy, and I couldn't do it. So please take advantage of this opportunity for me.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll be vicariously living through you guys with this wrestling podcast. So
we're gonna have
make you proud, Big Shooter.
A Felipe mention counter on each podcast.
Oh my lord!
I plan to let Brett be the face of Wrestling Life podcast, and me to be the heel of the Pod Jobber Wrestling Life podcast. That's my goal.
I'm a born babyface, brother.
You do have a baby face. I mean, you got pinchable cheeks.
I know.
You got pinchable cheeks, and then I guess Wendia will be the anti-hero of this whole group. You know, he neither.
Oh yeah, that's definitely him.
Just blends in with both light and dark.
That's definitely my boy.
There you go. All right, guys. I gotta run. My baby's screaming. So.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
I gotta piss real bad.
All right.
See you later.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.